Hey, and welcome back to the channel, guys. So today I'm going to be taking a look at the patch notes for 10.10, but it's a very special one. I'm here joined by the legend himself, KG. How you doing, man?
Very good. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate your time.
Yeah, 100%. We got to know what we're getting into for the new patch, so we'll go through it here. I haven't looked at it in depth. I've been busy all day. I know you mentioned that you didn't really go through it in too much detail yourself, so it'll be interesting to see what we see as we scan through it and what we come up with for ideas going into the new patch. So I'm excited to get through it right now. Looks like, okay, they're just summarizing basically what we have. 24 new cards, a special murder mystery, Soviet event, and a bunch of changes to existing cards for 10.10. So I like to see events going into Halloween. It's probably like a scary event, right?
Oh yeah, it's always fun when those events come up. Extra goodies to claim. Gets people interested in the game more. It's good times.
100%.
Yeah.
Looking at the new features here, Chronicles explore the lands of myth and legend and retrace the steps of those that forge their status. So Chronicles card drop is basically what we're talking about here. We have the event, of course. I kind of want to get into the goodies, guys. This is just stuff that we'll see when it comes, but we have neutrals coming up here, and Redea gets a buff from 10, well, from 11 to 10
Wow.
provisions. That has
That's great.
that's got your name all over it, doesn't it?
Man, I love these kinds of cards. They're so interesting to play out. Especially because you can play them across different factions, you know? It just adds a lot of creativity to the game. So when I saw like Redea, I think it was Shoop too.
Mhm.
Shoop got buffed as well, I think. Yeah, seeing that really made my day, man. I was very happy with that change. Like
What
it's just so much creativity to be had with those kinds of builds.
100%. And when you're playing a
Yeah.
deck that has no duplicates, you're putting yourself at like a deliberate disadvantage in some sense to
Yeah, that's
pull
true.
off this unique play style. So having it, I remember when it used to be 12 provisions, having her come down to now 10 following this patch is actually really big, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. I like that
There's a
change.
lot that you could do, and I'm sure that there'll be some pretty scary Nilfgaard decks with Redea.
Exactly.
Skellige as well, some kind of Lippy,
Yep,
right? The
yep.
casino Lippy thing's been really
Yeah.
popular lately. Shoop's Day Off, if you guys don't know, this one was a pricey one. Did it used to be at 13 provisions?
Oh, I think it was either that or 12, yeah. Is it 12 now?
It's 12 now,
Oh, it's 12 right now.
but they're doing a little bit of a buff to it. So Mage power changed from 2 to 4. So base
Yep.
power increased there. Hunter power changed from 4 to 6. And the Knight
Very
changed
nice.
from 8 to 10. So if you guys are familiar here, the Knight's the one that gets the resilience.
Oh my goodness. So you can get a
So
10-point resilience unit now.
exactly.
That is nice.
Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of things going around with that. I don't know if it's going to be
Yeah.
in meme territory anymore. This looks like it might be something that could start entering the meta. It looks like
No
only a
way.
couple points of an increase here, but when you factor in the provision change, that also means another gold card we could squeeze into the deck that otherwise would have been maybe a bronze. So I think that the changes are actually really nice for the archetype. I'm just looking a little bit ahead here. This one's really exciting for me. It's probably one of my least favorite cards in the game just because it's the most frustrating thing to play against. Don't you agree?
Yeah, yeah, it's a very hard matchup. It's one of those cards that if you've got the way to work with it, you can overcome it, but if you don't, you just get completely demolished by that card. You gotta have ways to boost up the lower powered units, deny the death blow. So this change is really big, I believe. I think it's gonna really change things a lot in the game.
Exactly, and I don't believe that a
Yeah.
game should be decided as soon as the match starts or after the first turn.
Yes.
And that was the problem with this card and why it was so toxic, right? Looking at it here, provision goes down to 11, but it's not a buff because the card actually gets a complete rework and the abilities change to damage an enemy unit by 1 and then death blow play a bronze card from hand, then moves the hill back into hand. That's all the same, but with the initiative now, if the damage is at 3, we transform it into the Masterful Sahil. And basically what this does here is it does 3 damage, and it's more or less the cap that it's at. So no
Right.
more are we going to be dealing with 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 damage, and
Right,
nothing
right.
sticks in round 3, because that's just incredibly frustrating. So I'm glad that we are able to get around that here. And the people that want to play Sahil could still play it, right?
That's true. You know, an interesting thing we could consider with Masterful Sea is that going to be triggering Assimilate? I think it would, right? Because it's kind of turning into a different card. Masterful Sea It's a new card from Sea So I think that's the interaction that's going to be happening with Assimilate decks.
I believe it
Perhaps
will,
unless I'm
because
Yeah.
It won't transform, like it won't proc in hand, but it should proc when you
Yes.
replay it, correct?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
if you're
yeah. I
able to
think so.
replay it every single turn,
Oh my gosh. So does that
it's
mean it's going to trigger assimilate every time?
I believe so, because you're
Oh
continuing to
my
play a
goodness.
card that's not in your starting deck, right? It goes back into your hand every time.
Wow. So this means maybe it's going to support Nilfgaard more this change, would you say?
100%. I'd really like to see the
Yeah.
interaction in play, but that's what it
Yeah,
sounds
yeah,
like to me.
yeah.
I don't see why it wouldn't be, because you're taking it off the playing field and then you're replaying it, right?
Mm.
I don't know. Let
Okay.
us know what you guys think
Yeah.
about that interaction in the comments below, but that's what it sounds like to me. Even if it just procs it once, that's not bad if you have a full board full, but to me it just looks like we'd be able to get multiple procs with that.
Wow. That's very interesting. I think that could be quite strong then in
Yeah.
those circumstances. As opposed to other decks, I don't think they'll pop as much, but assimilate, I think it could really pop with that style now.
100%, but I think they'd have
Yeah.
to find a way to add more bronzes to the mix, right? Because I know
Yep,
Assimilate's
that's
super
it.
top heavy and it doesn't work
Yes.
as well in that situation. So you're going to see probably just a lot more of those bronze engines coming back into play, which is interesting. I know some of
That's
them
a great
recently.
point.
Yeah, yeah. Some of them recently got reworked, but now it could be all about making more copies of like torturers and stuff like that and just kind of
Oh yeah.
yeah, spamming wide, you can get creative with it. So I'm curious to see how it works out.
Yeah,
This
exactly, man.
one, I don't know how I feel about it. It's not all that bad, but Imlurus Wrath got a little bit of
Wow,
a
interesting.
rework. You see that, right? So
Yeah, so
if
if
it's
it's
on a
on a
row with
row with
Frost,
Frost,
destroyed instead.
wow.
So before, if you guys don't know, you would need to have Imlurith in play to get that secondary, right?
Yes, yes, yes. My thoughts on this, maybe it makes it less conditional for the higher value play on the destroy because think about it, like you can spawn Frost multiple times during the game, but you only got one Imlerith, right? For that
100,
destroy condition, as it was
100%.
before.
And if you miss
So
it,
maybe,
if you miss
yeah,
it and you're only controlling a 4 to 6 power unit, then you can imagine
there you
this
go.
card trades down. The buff that you're
Yes,
getting with
there you
this
go.
on Wild Hunt or the White Frost archetype is really good, but I think that it pretty well eliminates the ability to play this card in Kelly or makes it very
You're right.
awkward.
Okay. Yeah,
Because
I see your
this is
point now.
something that
That's why you said that.
I'd like
Yeah.
to have this in Kelly, but I wouldn't run
Right, right,
Imlerith in
right.
Kelly. So that's where it
Yes.
gets kind of tricky. Then you're limited to this, and for some people that might be enough to still include it.
Yep, right. So
Actually,
it's gonna be yeah.
no, it doesn't change it at all here. No, we're fine. We're fine. It doesn't change it at all
But we're
here.
talking but in regards to the Frost, you're right. It will
Yeah,
be
in
different.
regards to the Frost, it's
Yeah,
just
that's what we're
better to
talking
have.
about.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. We're talking about the destroy value. For the
100%.
destroy value,
Hmm.
like we won't be able to have that with Kelly, right? That's not going to really make sense.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But in terms of what you were mentioning with a Kelly deck, in terms of damage, this can still work that way, which is nice. So it's good like the card still has its flexible use in different builds. That's a good thing to see about it. I think for Frost, it will really benefit because in Frost decks, you just got so many ways that you can generate Frost, right? You got like Ardgaith, you got bronze units which generate Frost, you got Leader. I think it could really do well with
100%.
these new Wild Hunt cards that have come out. I think it's going to do great for that value with Devotion decks. You know, Devotion kind of struggles for control usually, so
Yeah.
it's nice to have that more consistency with that kind of removal.
And Monsters doesn't have the lock. Parasite feels a little bit power
Yes.
crept to me these days, at least. And Frost itself is
Oh yeah.
known for just chipping at things, so I could see this
Yep.
being just a nice hard removal, way to go about
Yeah, I'm
things.
down. I'm down with that change. What do you think? You think it's good overall in that sense then?
I think it's good. I just think it's one more reason
Yeah.
that Frost is going to be kind of scary this season. And I think that with Frost, everybody wants it until it's played a lot, and then no one wants to see it anymore. It's a love hate because
Yeah.
it's got to be one of the worst mirror matches for me to play. It's frustrating, and
Right.
when I'm queuing into Frost and I'm on blue and they just abuse that red coin every single game, that gets pretty frustrating
Yeah.
as well. So
Yeah, I
I'm
understand.
curious to see how it works out this coming season. Maybe that could
Right.
add some value to Pirates even more so, right? Extra armor or
True,
something
true.
like
Yeah,
that could be a thing. Leading
could
into
be.
Skellige here, we have Arniolf, the Patricide. So this is just the token that spawns off the Patricidal Fury leader ability. The power changed from 11 to 12. I guess they're really looking to encourage different leader abilities should you play something like warriors and maybe those who still want to
Yep.
play Sahil, they want to give you a little bit of a indirect buff here, because I know a lot of people use that together because they made such a big change to the Sahil card itself. What do you think about that?
Right. I think also it looks like maybe that change was made because of these new Skellige cards which are introduced. I mean, your card reveal has an
Yeah.
interaction drawing a card to the board, damage beast. You know, we get the sirens spawned
Hmm.
from that leader. So maybe that could be one reason why. That's all I could really think of. Yeah, just that beast interaction with the Skellige cards, maybe. And as you said, yeah, it does promote like, you know, the different use of different leaders, which is good. And kind of interesting, we're seeing a change to Seagull and then the main leader that was used with Seagull in Skellige, that combination there. So yeah, interesting to see how that plays out.
I like the small changes that make it so that new leaders are played, because it adds a lot of different
Yeah,
dynamics to the game that, you know, need to be there, because it gets pretty stale playing against the same four leaders time and time again, right?
that's right.
We
Yep.
have Svalbard Totem. This is a card that I remember I used to play so often back maybe in 2020, but then it sort of just was eliminated from the game. Everybody just decided to stop playing it, and it's nice to see that they're doing something with it, because, you know, it was a pretty cool card at the time. So they
Right.
gave it resilience, whereas before I don't think it had resilience, right?
No, I don't think it did. I think it just had the initial ability of the card. I think that's something added to it, wasn't it?
Oops, what space here. Svalbard
Yeah,
Totem,
there it
yeah,
is
so
there.
it does have resilience now. So they
Oh wow.
basically just got the damage by 2, flip into the bear. But in this
Yep.
case now, there's a
Order. Oh, the
cooldown.
order has changed. Right, with the cooldown. Oh my goodness. So
Damage
this is
and
like
yeah.
self damage.
Yeah.
Right, self damage support. Yeah, that's right.
This could be good into like the
Not
Drakars,
bad. Interesting.
maybe. I doubt it'll bring back Blue Boy, but
You,
you know,
you,
there's
you
definitely,
really think you can make it work with Draco Turtle? Maybe.
I could see that too, yeah. Yeah, just like that
Maybe if
that
it's kind of
package
self
there.
damage. Yeah.
I could see you
I
adding a
guess
little bit.
anything which.
You could add some extra value,
Yeah,
like
you go.
you just take this for your Nut Callus, and it's just an even 2, putting it at, you know, 5, so you don't have to waste 2 leader charges just to take it down to
Right.
Bloodthirst.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a number of cards which come to mind we could use this with. Like Vildkal. I
Hmm.
think that's how you pronounce the name. Like he could work with this perhaps as well. Yeah, it's some good synergies there for sure.
Vildkarl,
Nice to kind of yeah, nice to kind of bring back that style of play because it kind of dropped off after a while. You know, the whole Melusine Sigvold kind of play. We didn't really see it as much in recent times. So
exactly.
maybe this can kind of bring it back a bit. Yeah.
And also, if you think about it too, you know, the Fanatics sitting at 4 provision where they're 4 base power, but when you damage them, they flip.
Yep.
I could see maybe the return of that, because if you have Cirrus
Right.
Fearless in deck, it contributes to bringing that out, but it's also a beast on the board, and you get the cultist tag, don't you?
Yeah, I think so. I
Yeah.
think that's how it would
So
work.
so that might actually help with artists, because you could literally thin it out of
Right.
deck and then get that tempo swing.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah,
It
yeah, that's
sounds like you got
actually
some ideas already. Looking forward to it, man.
this is how we
Jeez.
brew.
Hey, you caught me off guard with that mouse so quick from you.
So the
That was
Brockvar
good.
Archer, it's something I just don't play. I,
Yeah, I know. That does
unless I
not see play at all, dude.
unless I roll it off a Diplo or something, and that's the best we've got, right? So
Right, right.
damage an enemy unit by the amount, or yeah, by the amount of damaged units on their side. This could be very good if they are buffing it.
Yes, and because we know of what's going to be happening with the new Skellige cards, right? The raid card that's going to be coming out, a few different ways to generate Bloodthirst, that unit which can keep damaging across the board, that new 4 provision cost unit. It does
Exactly.
damage of 3, 2, and 1, like you're spreading Bloodthirst that way. And that new card, Ulala.
Yeah,
I don't know how to say her name. I just call it Ulala.
I
But
think
yeah,
it's
that new card as well.
Alula.
Like, I think, yeah,
Yeah,
and like she can kind of help as well. I think with keeping units damage down. So maybe I can see kind of why it got reworked like that. I think it's nice.
I think if you're playing this with Patricidal Fury, you're having a pretty good time.
Yeah,
Reckless Flurry, I
that's true.
think, should be pretty good. I don't know if I'd feel
Yep.
comfortable playing this with Bog, just because I find it's a little bit harder to distribute Bloodthirst. But again, we have to see
Okay.
how those new cards, especially the 2
Yeah.
bronzes that they're bringing out, help with that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
Because
possible that
you
this
know,
could
with the
fit
raid card.
well. the raid card, exactly. It puts out
Yes,
the wolf
yes.
token and damages by 1.
That's right. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Like we have those synergies with that
Yeah,
bloodthirst. So I think maybe I guess it kind of depends on the cards you're going to run in your list. You know what I mean, man? But
100%.
if you're running those raid cards and it seems to favor more of the leaders you mentioned, you could go Patricidal Fury, Reckless Flurry. I think those are the main ways to distribute bloodthirst. So which is
Hmm.
quite nice. And then obviously you got to look for the different units which provide that synergy too, which is always good. Some consistent ways to damage units down across the board. So I
Exactly.
think it could be a good change depending on the list you throw it in. That's what I'd say.
It'll sit at 7, 8
Yeah,
if we have Herald with Devotion, and it can be played off War of Clans, which is interesting
that's
because
right, because it's a
of the
warrior,
buff.
right? So
Yeah, as of right
yes,
now,
yes,
the really only good targets you have would maybe be like a Brock for a Hunter. You'd have the Tursic Veteran, and you might have um the what is it, the Oncrate Warrior, right?
yep,
Yeah,
yep,
so those are like my main threes that I pull out. But with
yeah,
this
right.
here, and I think looking ahead, there's going to be another buff here, right? With the Drummond Berserker, and to me, this is actually one of my
Interesting.
favorite ones. I don't know if you're
Really?
familiar with this, but I did a series back in the day where I took a beginner account and took it to pro rank, and until like the
Oh yeah,
early
yeah, yeah. I watched some of those. Yeah.
until the early ranks, I was using the Berserker, and I just like the
Really?
card quite a bit. If this is left unchecked, it plays for a lot of value because you get the 2 ticks before it flips, and then it flips into a 6-point bear. So to have this at 4 provision now seems incredibly strong for me.
Wow. And provides new synergy with that new card we spoke about, Ooh La La. I think the damage around the board can amplify if you synergize it with that card too,
Exactly, and
because of the way it'll be working, right? So
going across the faction as well, cultist
yeah,
tags kind of a big thing because if you're looking for something inexpensive now to run in self wound, you have another target, and
right.
that's if you don't want to go all in. Maybe on the Drakars, you could put these or something like that with the priests, and that would be fine because you might lose a point here, but it does flip, and it's not that bad. So there's a couple ways to look at it, right? I'd
Yeah,
be really excited to play this starting tomorrow. I think I'm going to try and put that back in the deck. The only problem is when it ticks down to 4, it's vulnerable.
right. Yes, that is true as well. So you'd be happy to have that as an inclusion over other cards that fill in that slot at it was going to be at 4 provision cost now, is it?
Yeah, it'll be a 4, which makes it a
Yeah.
little bit more attractive, right?
Man,
Um,
I think honestly, it seems quite decent at 4 provision.
because here's the thing, it's at 5
Yeah.
here, it goes tick tick, but then on the
Yep.
third, no, like when it goes to 3, so it goes 2
Right.
ticks and then it flips. So you're getting the 2 plus the 6 is 8 for 4.
Wow. Yeah, that's good. That's good
And
value.
then if you're pairing it with Alula, then you're getting
Yep.
the extra 2 points. And then if you're pairing it with
Yeah.
Herald, you're getting the extra point. So you're sitting at about 11 points for 4 provisions.
So what we can see from these changes, Q, is that it has a lot to do with the value will be increasing upon the synergies that we play the cards with, right?
Yep.
So that seems to be the most important thing to focus on,
But
that we combine these cards together.
yeah, and the floor on this is pretty long. Like it's
Yeah,
pretty decent,
that's
right?
true.
It's 8, and then like if you play it early, there's ways you could boost it, like a skull or a TA or whatever have you. So that could be ticking for some time.
That's a pretty smart idea too. Yeah.
Yeah. We have Seagull. This one not really worth pulling up. It's just a tooltip updated.
Okay.
So reflect its behavior better as it's intended to react to the units that
Okay.
become either damaged or destroyed. So just a little bit of a
Hmm.
typo, I guess, before they decided to clarify.
Yeah.
I caught a glimpse of the next change here, and I'm kind of worried about what we're going to be dealing with this coming season.
Really.
I like mobilization.
Share
I
your
used
share your worries.
I used to play Maddock Revenants like crazy and think
Oh
that
yeah.
was the best thing ever. And
No
I
way.
was probably one of the only people on the ladder playing this leader. Now I feel like everyone's going to be playing it. Provision bonus did get a little bit of a nerf, but what
Ooh.
we see here is that you're boosting both soldiers by 3. So they're adding a few more points to the leader. And if you're slamming down archers early on,
Right.
imagine they're both
Yep.
sitting at like 5 and 6 power.
Right.
Kind of
And now with
scary.
Garrison. And
Yeah.
now combine that with Garrison as well.
Yeah, and all the ways that Northern
Yeah.
Realms has to make copies of things, Adalia, reinforcements, megascopes, you
Yep.
name it, right? A Darin could be in
Yeah.
there. This could get really nasty. You put Donimir or Troy on the row, you have yourself a firing
Wow.
squad. You know, nothing sticks, but the long round will be scary.
So the real change here is that it's boosting by 3. That was the change in
So
this department right now that we're looking at. What is it exactly? So it got
so
nerfed the
so
leader by 1.
before what they had was that you'd spawn an extra
Yep.
copy of your soldier that you choose, and that copy itself would be boosted by 3, but the original copy wouldn't. Now they're both
Right.
being boosted by 3.
Oh,
So
okay.
for
So
those
more points
engines,
initially.
exactly, but also
Yep.
just more like defensive points, right? Because generally you're
Right.
copying an engine. And what the opponent will do is they'll just answer that existing
Yes.
engine with an
Yes,
order
yes,
or
yes.
something easy, and then
I see what
quickly
you're saying.
get rid of the second one. But now they're trying to chip at
Harder to
one of
remove.
them. Exactly. Like one of them's definitely
Yeah.
sticking, and they're probably both going to stick unless they have that immediate, removal.
Wow.
Because if it takes them more than a turn to remove one, you slap that defender down, and then they're in
That's right.
trouble. Yeah.
I guess the thing with the archers, like, not to be as concerned, they're a bit conditional too. You need armor for them. So that's a bit conditional there, but they're really strong if left unanswered. Oh my goodness, especially if you got a swarm of archers. I myself made an archer swarm deck recently, and if they do not get past defender defending them all, you just destroy whatever they play.
Exactly.
It gets crazy.
They get
it can
more
really add up.
charges than what you could do with them. Yep.
Exactly.
Another thing that this might
Yeah.
support could be the Royal Guards, believe it or not. Or what are they?
Centurion.
The Centurions, yeah, the meme.
Yeah.
Because
the meme deck, yeah,
yeah,
I know what you're talking about.
because
Ones that boost by 3 as you play them out or something like that.
because it just gives it
Yeah.
that much more of a way to stick on the playing field so that you have more existing copies when you're playing the next ones, right?
I think you've given a few people some ideas right there, Q.
100%. But some people aren't going to like this part. I love this part. So
Yeah.
King Foltest
King
now
Foltest.
spawns non-neutral units only. So
Ooh.
this was intended to make copies of commandos, right?
Right.
And people abuse this by putting it in like a Renfri's gang deck.
Exactly.
And
With Triss.
And it
Yep.
just eliminated the entire reason of why this card was made. So again, I'm happy to see this. We could stick to our done banner swarm, and we can stick to our
Right.
commando swarm, and bring back the faction identity. And you could see how with Pavetta they're doing the same thing now, only sticking to the non-neutral units. So they're shutting it down. They realize the problem and that it's just not fair. So there
Do you reckon it was over? So you consider that to be overpowered? That combination of play with the neutrals, Q? That's what you thought?
I
think
do.
It's a fair reason. Yeah.
I do, because the reason why I think it's bad for the game is because the commandos were brought to the game for that reason. And
Yep.
they have 2 less base power each. But the problem as well is that the Renfri's gang is at 6 power. So it rounds up with
exactly.
you know what I mean? So they're getting 3 boost instead of 2. So it makes Triss even that much better. Right? And that's just not fair, because they literally have 2 swarm targets for Foltest, and Renfri's gang wasn't one of them. So it just made other cards unplayable, essentially. And if they kept it in the game, no one would ever go back to playing commandos. They would just only play Renfri's gang. Right? That was the issue, in my opinion. So I'm happy to see it.
You're right about pointing out the interaction with Triss with Renfri's gang because of the base power. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, that makes sense, because that's a lot of points. Six powered units, you know what I mean? Like all those 6s there, and then you're boosting them up. Oh, it's a lot.
I got a 65 point Igni the other day.
Really?
Or 63 point Igni. Yeah.
Did you get in the deck guide? You recorded it?
It's in the deck guide. I was playing.
Oh, beautiful.
I was playing Firesworn. They tried to 2-0 me, and
no way.
I let them think they had it, so I was playing crap cards, and they went all in.
Yeah.
And then I just put the Igni down, cleared the row, and I came into round 3 with the card up. Let's go.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it's great.
Yes.
Yeah, but no more of that.
Love those moments.
I'm tired of that. It makes it so that we don't have to consider putting Igni in every deck, because I've run into a lot of this lately. And of course, the Blue Stripe Scout being able to make a copy of a bronze now, it doesn't affect neutral cards. It's only going to be your Northern Realms because you're playing it within Northern
Right.
Realms. So I think that's good.
Yeah, nice. That's a part of keeping it away from the neutrals, I guess. They're just really trying to keep everyone away from the Renfri's gang play, so it's gonna be commandos from here on out, looks like.
Exactly. Now,
Yeah.
moving on to Scoia'tael, this is big because a lot of people
Ooh.
are running guerrilla tactics. I think it's probably the most played leader ability right now with Scoia'tael in
Right,
the
meta
professional.
deck. Yeah.
Yeah, in the professional scene. That, and I would say Deadeye Ambush, right?
Harmony guerrilla tactics, I see it
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
really highly played. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But the leader in general, now giving it a little bit of a provision nerf, I think a lot of
Right.
the reason why people picked this leader was obviously the interaction with Milva. It was really nice for removal
Yep.
reach, but I think
Oh yeah.
also because it allowed you to have more provisions than every other leader within Scoia'tael. So, putting it at 15 makes you maybe think twice about what leader you're going to be bringing when you're putting
That's
together a
right.
deck. So,
Not a significant change, but I guess it's something. Yeah, I think they could still work around that change. People who play that deck, they could alter some things. But
100%.
yeah, it does make sense because when you verse that deck, it's just got so many various plays. It's got a lot of high tempo plays, and then you got the control with Milva, as you said. So I can
Mhm.
I can understand why that came in. Yeah, I think that could help balance it out a little bit, but more so with these other changes that you're about to get into now listed there. I think if
Exactly.
you look at the
And
grand scheme of things, that will affect it. Yeah.
And usually it's not the one change, but when you start to get into two changes that are in your deck, I'm jumping
Right.
ahead
Right.
here a little bit, but I see one already that we could talk about. Then you start thinking, okay, I have to cut that gold card that I'm used to playing. Now we got to
Right.
do something
Exactly.
else. And imagine cutting like a heat wave and putting in a Becker's. Like
Yeah.
that
That's
starts to
right. That's
become a
right.
significant change, right? So
Yeah.
this is kind of what we're
It makes it
thinking.
feel suboptimal right away.
Exactly.
Yep.
Now we do
Yeah.
have a bit of a buff here. So Call of the Forest provision change from 10 to 9, and
Pull of
I
forest.
believe
Wow.
that
Okay.
that's meant to support the changes to symbiosis, right?
Ooh,
So
that's nice. I
they
like
did a lot
that.
of buffs for natures. I didn't think that it was worth playing at 10 because for 3
Yep.
more you have yourself an Oniro.
Right.
And a lot of times you're running this. I mean, you could put this in pretty well any Scoia'tael deck. I suppose if you're playing Devotion, that would be the only time where you
That's
couldn't do the
that's what it's
Onero.
for, Q. Yeah, that's
Exactly.
what's for,
Yeah.
man. It's for the devotion side of things. 100% it is. Yep.
But now, like, it just feels comfortable to throw that in, council in. You're not overspending on tutors. You know what I mean? You might
Right.
consider
I
putting
like
back
that
in
change.
Fauve. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's pretty
I like
healthy
it.
for the game.
Nice.
I don't think it's
Nice.
going to be super broken or anything like that, but it's going to play for a lot of points still because of all the procs with the naiads and the infusions with the hero
Yes.
card and stuff. So that's a lot to get into. And
Seems like it's putting symbiosis kind of plays in a really strong spot. Especially there's new cards that have come in, and now we've got these kinds of buffs to these tutor cards. I think it's making it very strong
it's going to be
in that
interesting to
sense.
see.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
I'm really scared about Kahir reset. Like there's going to be a lot of Kahir decks going around with
Oh
Yerdans
yeah.
and that location. So I
Oh,
kind
you're right
of
about that
I
too.
kind of question how well Symbiosis will do because of a couple cards that they have. We wouldn't want to go too tall on the
Yeah,
Hammer Dryad.
that's true, man.
You have to have last say for the Gourd. Like there's a lot of stuff, but we'll see how it
I,
goes
I
when the
think
patch drops.
it's those decks are like really dependent on getting rad control and like 2-0ing or bleeding hard.
Yeah, yeah.
Usually, you know what I mean. So, and usually, decks which just go really tall. I guess it's kind of hard to make them perform. Decks which can do control and get points at the same time perform best.
Hmm.
So yeah, I kind of see your points there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The next
that's true.
one,
But it is nice to see the buffs. Yeah.
I'm upset about the next one, but some people are probably clapping right now. So Simlas was able to play 2 special cards from deck, and this was often abused. I guess if you're running like a waylay spam, like
Right.
it was able to do 4 cards at the same time, right? But
Mm.
in this case, huge tempo swing, good thinning options. You could play this obviously in devotion, non-devotion doesn't really matter. Getting that provision
You can
nerf.
play it in many, many different styles, and I think the nerf happened once again because it's trying to target that deck we talked about, that meta guerrilla tactics harmony list. I mean, Simlas was a big part of that deck too.
Yeah,
So I think these changes have come predominantly because of that. I wouldn't really
it's
think it's come from anything else. Do you think, or
I don't think it has to do with harvests or anything else. I think it really has to
yeah,
do with the quad waylay play. And
Oh, really? So you think it's because of the waylay play?
I
Okay.
do, because they just knocked Alyssa down, or up, I should say, from 7 provisions down to 8. Right, so there's the one nerf there we saw, and then now they're nerfing this, and
Oh,
I still see the waylay package in GT. Like I've even
okay.
seen as much as Harmony packages with the waylay package. They just stick that
Right,
and
right,
that and call it a day, right?
right, right. Yeah, that
So
makes sense.
yeah, there's so many different ways to stir it
Okay.
up, but it just seems like the faction kind of has its Harmony package, it has the Dwarf package, and it has, the Waylay package, and then a couple control options, whether it be Erendite or Heatwave or whatever the case, right?
Right,
So, this should maybe promote doing a little bit different things, but with
right.
a lot of the recent nerfs to Scoia'tael, I'm a little bit concerned about how their control decks are going to fare against like other heavy control decks that we talked about, like Skellige, for example, this season. There might be a
Yes,
bit of a
yes.
change there. Nilfgaard, it did get a huge one. They dropped the lockdown leader ability altogether. I think it was the least played leader ability in the game,
Yes.
but it was a
Never
very
saw it myself.
popular keyword on YouTube.
Right.
I guess because
Wow.
no one was playing it and people wanted to see how to play it. But they renamed it to
Interesting.
Toussaint Hospitality.
Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it.
Toussaint we're gonna get flack for this one.
Yeah.
Ability
Don't
change
worry,
two.
I already caught my fair share for my card reveal. It's all good. We're in
Yeah,
this together.
yeah, exactly. Order, spawn, and play Boohurt. Okay.
Yeah.
And then whenever you boost one or
So that's a
more,
tactic, right?
I believe that's the new tactic.
It's
It's
a
not.
it's a
It's not gonna.
tactic that it's like works like kind of a Madrome thing, 3 for 9. It's boosting by 9, something like that.
That's right. So it's kind of like your battle trance, but in
Yeah, it's like something similar looking, but in a different style. Yeah.
X, it has the boost added, whereas the other ones heal.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Whenever you boost one or more units during your turn, boost a random allied unit by
Ooh,
1.
interesting.
Okay.
So that will be pretty interesting to test out. Obviously, this is going to have a lot of synergy with those new Nilfgaard cards. Even the one I revealed will come into play with this to make it more consistent because we know those Nilfgaard cards are boosting the opponent's side a lot. So obviously, we need some kind of a payoff, right? We don't want to just give them points. So if we're going to be playing those cards, this is kind of the leader you're going to work it in with, I believe, for the most part. And you're going to kind
Realistically,
of run it with Kah here and all that.
yeah.
Yeah. What are your
If
thoughts?
if you have a way to boost something every turn, you pretty much have 1 point per turn engine for the entire game off the leader.
Mm, right,
And
right.
and
Adds up a
also
lot, doesn't it?
you could maybe see like an assimilate knights package, like a hybrid, because assimilate
Interesting.
is a boost.
Right.
And more than one of them would boost if they're getting assimilate procs.
Hmm.
And you're procking assimilate too with the create and play, right? The spawn and play.
That's smart. That's a smart idea.
So instead of like
Yep.
control assimilate that we normally see, right? Whether it be
Yep.
um, the imprisonment one or double cross,
Imprisonment. Yeah.
yeah, this
Yep.
looks like it could be like a crazy high point game assimilate.
So
You
yeah,
know?
your idea is that you'd have all these assimilate engines down, and then you kind of hit the order, right? At some point.
Yeah,
Is that
exactly.
what you're
Like
saying as well?
I
Yeah.
I
And
would
like, let's
be
say Kahi is down on the board, and then like you're gonna hit that kind of at the end of that sequence of play.
Yeah, I'd be blending maybe the assimilate package with the knights package, because the knights package at this point is
Right.
very small, right? It's only a few cards.
Yeah.
So that's
Yes.
kind of
Yes.
the
Exactly.
idea here. I like these. This is good because these are auto include cards and everything. So Vigo provision change from 8 to 9, just a little bit of a nudge here. And Brathen's obviously the card that
Mm,
everyone puts in everything that says Nilfgaard,
right. Exactly.
right? This
My
guy here.
thoughts on these cards. Yeah, I was kind of a bit surprised they got touched, to be honest, because I think it was because of the soldiers rework that came in. They got kind of looked at a bit more closely, and maybe that's what caused a bit more problems because you know the assimilate triggers with the Nazica Sergeant and those
100%.
kinds of cards. So
Yeah,
I think maybe that's why they were targeted, but I don't know if they exactly needed to be targeted. I was kind of thinking maybe the soldiers needed to be looked at more than changing these two. But I
one
can understand why they were changed.
one of the problems that I find them running into is they'll just use operator on any old card, and then
Right.
they'll go and make copies of it with these, and that plays for an incredible amount of points because they'll generally take
Mm.
something like a slave driver that is like only 2 points for us, but it'll play for like 10, 12 points with the assimilate procs for them.
Right, right.
You,
So
you know,
see how you said that? The slave driver, right? We're talking about the soldiers. That's
yeah.
my point too. You
Mhm.
see, it seems to be to do with the soldiers that have made these cards a bit too like overpowered in their combination of play. That's kind of what I saw. If I'm looking at the assimilate package with soldiers, those plays, I'm kind of looking like that's why these cards would change. But what do you think about before the soldier rework, how these cards were? Do you think they're all right at that provision or
Yeah,
and that power?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's my point as
Because
well.
Brathen's,
I
I
mean, it's
think
just my humble opinion, man.
Brathen's got the
Yeah,
nerf from 10 to 11. And
it already had. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
and at
right.
that
That's
point, I
right.
thought that was fine. At 10, I thought he was too strong. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
these
yeah.
changes with the current state of the game, basically, a lot of people are just slamming points, right, with Nilfgaard. And
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
we can let their point slam stick, whatever, but at least we have a chance to get rid of their engines. So
Yeah, I guess the soldiers kind of screwed these up.
exactly.
If
You
you
never
want to
know.
look at it one way or another.
What's nice
Yeah,
about it though is nothing here is permanent. So maybe if the soldiers get a rework in the future, then these values would change back
yeah,
to the old ones. It's not set in
yeah,
stone.
yeah, yeah.
We have Kahir coming up next. Power change from 5 to
Yep.
7. This is going to be a very popular card, so I'll pull it up.
Great,
And
great change. Great change.
ability change to melee whenever an enemy receives a boost during your turn, boost self by the same amount. So what do you think about that?
During your turn.
During your turn.
Wow, very interesting. Wow, that's
So
incredible. I mean,
so
just makes the card play even better, really.
you can only proc it during your turn. Yeah. So if you're playing against Nature's Gift, you're not getting all those free points,
Yeah.
but you're able
But
to.
we got to remember the new cards that have come in though, how they work. That's what I'm thinking of.
Exactly,
Like the
and
card that I released.
that's what it's for.
Yeah. So yeah, it's going that way about things.
Hmm.
So before it played like this, as you're displaying here, whenever an enemy unit receives a boosts off by the same amount. But yeah, it's restricted now to our turn.
You know what you still could do? You
What do you
could
think?
still Kahir, Letho, Defender that, and then you could still
Yeah,
do
for sure.
you could still do the yen boost the entire board by 2, and then still do your Yurden.
Yeah, that's true. Well, my initial thought was that
'Cause
we're
that's
gonna
your turn
definitely play
still.
Letho Kingslayer.
Yeah, that's your
Yeah.
turn as well. Like it doesn't affect that strategy. I know some people do that, so
Yeah, yeah. I reckon Letho Kingslayer is really the way to go. With this whole new Knights change to Nilfgaard and that Knights leader. Like you definitely want to go double cut here, just go real greedy on it. Just really capitalize.
I'm expecting to see this first from you.
Well, man, your card kind of really drew my attention. So you
Yeah,
never know what you're
yeah.
gonna see from
I'm
me
gonna
first.
have to go to Skellige and do
I
a few
just-
things myself.
To be honest, Q, a quick leak. I think your card's cracked, man. I want to try it as quickly as possible.
Listen, when Ryan sent me the card, I chuckled. I said, I have to keep this secret for an entire week. Like I have
I saw you. I saw you in your video.
in my hands is what people are going to be complaining about for the next 2 months. Like,
dude, I saw your card. I was like, crap, man. I just want to find a way to like completely abuse it quick before it gets changed.
100%. I definitely think it's going to get changed, but I'm making a video and I got to be positive about it. So that's why I was like, I'm not going to say, yo, this is busted, man.
Yeah. I get your
Yeah.
position. But
So-
yeah, I reckon your card's so strong, man. I
Oh.
can't wait to try it.
Man, it
I'll
felt
probably come to mine after that SK deck.
you
I might
got
make
a
SK first.
you got a
to be
strong
honest.
one yourself. It's
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's honestly a really good feeling after all this hard work to be able to get such a busted card though for us to reveal. You know what I mean? Like it's a good feeling, Like
Yeah,
no
that's
more
right.
bronzes. We're on to the game changers here. Like
Yeah, we had
Yeah.
to work our way up, man.
that's right. Apparently, this one's going to be a really big problem. I got a text message about it
Wow,
today, believe it
really?
or not. I didn't really read the message because I was working, but something
Yeah.
about this playing for a ton of points. False Siri, power change from 4 to 1. Ability
Yep.
change to Disloyal, so they're turning her into a spy.
Disloyal.
That's interesting.
Wow.
Play a bronze tactic from your
Yeah.
graveyard and give it doomed. At the end of your turn, boost self by 1. Grace 8, move self to the opposite row and purify self. Oh,
So you're getting those points back.
you're getting 8s. I'm gonna
Oh
play. Yeah, I should probably
my
just play
God.
Precision Strike and just self ping it.
That's a good point. Oh, geez, Louise. So, like, what are the different ways you can counter that if that comes to your side? What do you think? Just like you said, the self damage.
So self damage, whether
Like,
it be
what can we
precision,
really do? Yeah.
you can precision strike it. You could use self wound Skellige. You
Right.
can
Okay.
Totem got the rework, right? So Totem would be a way to dismiss it.
Okay.
You can transform
Yep.
it, putting a tech card in your deck, like one of those Curse Knights, or
Oh, wow.
what's the one, the soldier that flips, used to be used on the cows. You know the one I'm talking about, right?
I know the one you talk about. Yeah, yeah, I know the one you talk about. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That one.
Okay, so those are the different ways. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But if you're
Wow,
not,
do you reckon this card will become a problem? Like, it'll make it one of those matches that are really annoying if you don't have the answer to it.
I think
It'll
it's
just frustrate you. Do
I
you
think
reckon it'll become like that, or
it's got to be played, I think, like in round 1 to take.
right?
Like after you've already played a tactic, like imagine the tempo that it brings. Like it's kind of one of those things where it sort of creeps up on you. So you play maybe a Diplo early on, something proactive, and then you put this down, maybe you have an assimilate engine out or whatever the case, then you play
All
another
right.
one, and then it starts ticking, but you need
Wow, it
you
looks
need
pretty
to
strong
the
too.
problem is it's only 1 point when it gets out there, so you need to get it to 8.
Uh,
The only way that you can get that back sooner is if you boost it with
so is that
your
gonna have
Boohert.
synergy with? Right. So is this gonna have synergy with the Nilfgaardian Knights now? These
It
new
should.
cards that we've seen.
Yeah.
That's what it's proposed for, more so you think?
I
For
think.
Siri
I
now?
think it's either or. I
It
think
makes sense.
if you've got the space and time, then let it float, right?
Right,
But
right.
if you don't, then you just get that boost back. You're not wasting points, right?
I mean, we can see it's got synergy with Assimilate.
Think about it this way. If you're getting, I wonder if it's
Oh, it's a bronze tactic. It's a bronze tactic from your graveyard.
at the end of your turn, boost self by 1. It's at our
The
turn,
end of
so
your
it procs
turn.
Kahir.
Mm. Oh, goodness. Go double here with that.
Oh geez, so you're getting double on, yeah, you're getting
Right.
double Kahir on that, and then you can use the Boohurt, and you're getting the extra points on those. Okay, that's kind of crazy. For what it's worth, though, she didn't see a lot of play. I tried to do lockdown, the 2 leader tokens, usurper, and then just do like a little bit of a swarm payoff, and it was
Right.
kind of like so. I think the best I would get it to play for is maybe 10, 12 points, and that was like if everything went perfectly. So at least now it's something a bit different, but I think that's actually very strong.
Is there anything to keep in mind that it has spying status on it because it's going to be disloyal? Is there anything we can think of to work with that? Or like it goes to the opponent's side, right? It's got spying status.
Yeah, I think you could still.
What about interactions with coup or something like that?
How would you coup it? I'm just trying to think what we could do.
Yeah, like if you coup it, right? Coup
Uh-huh.
replays something with spying status,
Yeah, I
and it could
suppose.
go there
Yeah,
again,
yeah. You
and
wait.
then like you have two.
That's right. You'd wait till it's high enough power so that
Yeah,
you're
you know
not
what I'm trying
killing
to
it.
say?
Yeah. I
That's
see
right.
that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So I'm thinking like we can let it grow and you coup it, and then you got two.
that's nasty.
Could you do that?
You could. Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe that
I'm
should
kind
be
of
fine.
thinking.
Yeah, it's
I'm trying to
disloyal.
think of it.
It's
Like
disloyal.
it seems like it would work, right?
If it's above 3 power, so 4
That's
plus,
nasty,
you should
man.
be able to chip
Yeah,
it
yeah.
down and have 2, and then they both come over, which is
Oh
16 points.
my. And think about it. So it's going to be boosting. How's it work again? The card, Grace 8 moves self to the opposite row at the end of your turn boost. So then we could have like 2 lots of boost for the Kahirs,
Yep.
right? Oh
Yep.
my goodness.
So
Okay, that's
both of
something
them
to keep in
going
mind.
plus whatever we boost on them, and then they
Dude,
come back to
dude,
us.
when we make a deck with that Q, let's try to add that play in there, the Q play.
I'm down.
I
Yeah.
think maybe it could work. I mean, it
think-
depends what kind of a deck you're going to put this in. If you're going to run that many tactics like Q and whatnot. But
Well, the thing is, it leaves your options open because she actually supports
yeah.
Enslave as well,
Mm,
right? Like this could be
mm.
good for the Helga and the Scorpion type deck as well.
Yes, play a bronze tactic from your graveyard.
Yeah.
Wow,
Like
interesting.
this sort of falls into status Nilfgaard, it falls into tactic Nilfgaard, and it falls into knights. And
And
I like cards like this that are flexible, right? But I think
yep, yep,
too
yep.
many of these types of cards is scary for a faction, right? Because then it's just sandwiching things in wherever you feel like. I think that,
Right.
I like the fact that Kahir has sort of an identity now that has to sort of play around this new strategy, which is good,
Yep.
but this is just very flexible. So,
So you
mhm,
mentioned there's the new tactic for Nilfgaard, right? It's that provision. What's called Boo Hurt.
mhm.
That one that you said. What does that do again? It boosts by
Boost them by 3, boost us by 6.
boost us by 6. So could you use that in combination with False Theory? Like you deploy her straight into that?
Yeah,
Because play a
so
bronze tactic from your graveyard?
exactly. So it should just work.
I'm just trying to think of this coup combo we talked about. Like, what if we
Uh,
did
so
like would it work like that?
disloyal puts it down, then
Yep.
it plays the tactic, so the tactic should be able to target it.
So we can target it right away. And then
Mhm.
like what if we've got another one in graveyard as well already? And then you just target the other you've queued. No, I'm just trying to experiment here.
Or just rattle it off the leader.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like something like that.
Because
Yeah.
you have the
That
leader now that could just do it, right?
we
And
might have just come up with some
the good part about
queued
it
here.
is you get the points back on the Kahir, and then of course when she comes back.
Q, we got to put our trademark down before anyone takes this.
Yeah,
Double false theory by
we
Q in KG.
we did it
Okay, we
first.
did it first.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to hear anything about this is so and so's deck. No,
You tell your viewers, man.
exactly. You heard it here. Timestamp it, guys. We're at 46:15. Okay. So we got moving on to the next one. Milton. We're almost at the end here. We'll kind of power through it a little bit more, but
Yeah.
power change from 5 to 6. Okay. Provision change from 7 to 6, and ability changed to deploy boost an enemy by 4, then boost self by 4. This plays right into that whole thing again, because it's kind of like it's giving us 8 points, and then order boost self by the last boost you gave an enemy unit this round. Jeez.
Wow. So probably has good synergy with the card I revealed. That's really crazy, man. And I think the location of NG, the new location too, right?
Yep.
So the location is boosting, isn't it?
The new location...
Or is that boosting our unit?
The new location is boosting our unit to match the power of the tallest unit, right?
Okay, so it's going to have synergy then with my card.
And then it's resetting.
My card is boosting.
Then it's resetting. So yeah, with your card, it would be synergy.
Yeah.
But
right. Wow, man, looks pretty good. And yep, just supports that boosting style now, once again, with a new NG leader. Yeah, and the Knights.
How do you say that?
Wow, I like it. It looks good. Power change as well. Provision change. I mean, it looks fun and really playable. Easy to fit in. I don't think it's too hard to fit those cards in at those slots.
Exactly. And with
like
Palmerin coming up here next, we got power change from 5 to 4. Provision change from 7 to 8. So this tells me that there's going to be something OP coming here. Deploy, choose an unboosted enemy unit, then play the top card from your deck and boost that unit by the card's provision cost.
Wow. Choose an unboosted enemy unit.
Then play the top.
So what are your ideas with working that in? Like, how would we sequence it? Choose an unboosted enemy unit, then play the top card from your deck.
This would be disgusting if you could put Tibor at the top of your deck.
Okay, we're gonna delete that.
Yeah, edit this part out.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah, I could see that being nasty. And
boost that unit.
Or if you somehow were doing a hyper thin, then you'd be able to sort of control what would be the top card a little bit easier, and you can make it whatever you need.
Sure.
Right. So
I mean, great to see these two rework because we didn't really see them played at all.
100%. They were just like obsolete.
Exactly. They have life now again. They can see playtime.
This even scarier part. If you control Milton, you might choose from the top 3 cards.
So even more easier to make it happen. As far as what we're going to choose. Yeah.
And I think we're looking at one more buff, or big change and then some nerfs by the
Yep.
looks of it here. So the next one we got. I forgot this card existed. Damage. Okay.
True.
So 9 for 7, best case scenario. It's like the Striga of Nilfgaard, but like
Exactly.
not as
exactly.
good. Not as good though.
Right.
I like Striga
That's
better.
a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Power change to 7, provision change to
Nice.
10. So this is completely
Okay.
different. Disloyal.
Yep.
Boost an allied unit by the combined power of units adjacent to self. Oh, wow. You put that between your two false series.
Yeah, that's it.
And
So
you've
you're
got
gonna play it?
you've got an easy 14, or you just boost
Wow.
whatever else as high as you can on their side, and then you put this between, and you get the added boost, right? So if this is like 20 and
Right.
20, and let's say they're boosted 15 each, you get 30 boost on your side.
Yeah, Q. Remember that's disloyal. It's got the spying status too, man. That
Yeah.
Q kind of.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
The coup's looking proper.
Okay, we called it first again. Double this, double full series. You had it here first.
Yeah, I already know what the chat's gonna look like
Wow.
tomorrow. Yeah.
Wow, man.
Here's the thing.
So, would you play this with Calvate though? This kind of a deck? What do you think? Or would you just go for some kind of a thinning package, like these kind of Nilfgaardian Knight, this package now we're looking at? What are your thoughts? Because we do have a few of those tactics, those new tactics that were released with it. That kind of works with Calvate. The provisions don't seem too over high with those cards that you've seen buff there.
I think you could probably Calvate.
Maybe you could Calvate.
Because a lot of them like play around tactics and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, it seems to be, yeah. Because I'm just trying to think ahead, like that Q synergy we're talking about. It seems to we could work Q in with these.
I could see this being really good in like Enslave 5 or 6.
Wow.
Just because it gives you more options. Like before, you're like, okay, what do I do with these tactics? Like, also, it's like, where do the points come from, right?
Yeah.
And now we actually have points. You know, Night Package and Tactics maybe in Slave 5 is a bit more comfortable, but again, you're getting the tempo of taking something from them. You're getting all the points coming back to us. Like, it could probably make that like a little bit more playable, right?
Yeah.
And then
it's just really interesting to see these interactions where like we have a card like False Series. I don't think we've really ever seen something like that, have we? For a long time, maybe, where there's points that can come back to us.
You know what's
from the opponent's side.
Exactly.
That's interesting. You know, it's
And
so different.
I'm looking at this here with the buff to Redea and Shoop.
Yep.
And then this combo here, like I've seen a lot of Shoop Redea and Slave decks in the past as well. Like that could actually be, you know, just encouragement to play something like that.
Right, with assimilate units like Terra Nova. I think I remember, and maybe they had the Nilfgaard Witches in there. I remember seeing a few patches back that ran that kind of style.
Yeah, the old Shin list. I forget what it had specifically.
I think it was his. Yeah,
that's right. But it was like Shoop Redea. There was a bit of an assimilate package, but now you'd probably just stuff in the Knights package as well and call it a day.
Wow.
Maybe doing
so
Slave
just
5.
one more thing, Q, about the False Series. Could we also lock that? If it's like if someone has it on their side, right? So your opponent's going to get Siri back at Grace 8. Could you lock her and it'll stop her from going back?
I believe so.
It's an ability, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's something to keep in mind too for the viewers.
You
can self-lock.
Take that direct array if you're
yeah.
Might just be better to keep
else.
Lock it at 7.
Wow. So yeah, you could like let it build up even and then just lock.
Yep.
Ooh, that's a nice thing to keep in mind too.
Yeah, you just got to be careful that your lock says lock a unit, not lock an enemy unit, because otherwise it just doesn't happen that way.
So what could do that? It would be the neutral lock.
Yeah, door would do it.
What does Margarita? What does Margarita do? I mean, you can search it up there in the card database right now, maybe even. You know the Northern Realms lock? Oops. Is that just any unit or?
I think she's enemy.
Okay, so just a Dorigary.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
so
right.
So it would be door, which is like not so bad.
Wow, not bad.
And so just going through the last ones here, we got Ducal Guard, power change from 4 to 5. Yeah. So that wasn't seeing any play, right?
No.
Just the assimilate engine. And then we have Nazica Sergeant. Of course, this is one of the most controversial cards of the last patch. So being able to just get a free battle preparation at 5 provision was playing for 10 points at 5p, which is one of the best bronze cards in the game. if
Incredible
not,
value.
if not the best bronze card in the game because of all the assimilate procs. Putting it at 6
Yep.
provision makes it that much more difficult to fit yet 2 of them. So I like that.
Mm.
And of course, we talked about the slave driver making copies of it. This does get a nerf as well with the power changed. It's the same card, right?
Yeah,
Slave
that's
driver,
the
yeah,
one that
that's the one.
spawns and replays.
Yes, the
Yes,
spawn replay hits off the armor. Yeah,
it
so
is. It
that's it.
is.
And then
You think it's sufficient nerf for the driver, Q?
no,
Power?
no, I would
Yeah, I
say
was thinking maybe that needs a provision nerf, maybe too.
I think
What do you think?
maybe provision nerf
Or just change the power more?
provisions that
Or
maybe make it
it's
like
a 5 prov.
it's 5 prof. I could see it at 2
Yeah.
base. 2 base seems pretty nice.
Okay.
But like it's because I don't think you could put it at 6. If you put it at 6 and you got 2 of these, 2 of these,
Okay.
then you can't
Yeah.
polarize your deck at all. Because it's like it'd be super like, mid. It'd be all 6s and 7s.
So because Nazica got nerfed to 6, you think it should just be a power change more so for that one?
Yeah.
Maybe you're right, because then it's harder to like optimize the list. Yeah.
It could be a
how
power
it's gonna look.
change, or it could be like
Yeah,
it could be
probably
power
right.
change to 3 and then maybe damage it by 2 instead of 1. Like something like that as like an added
That's
condition.
a good thought.
Yeah, just like
Yeah,
little
that's a good
things like
thought too.
that.
Right.
I think that
I
this
think
is
it's a step in the right direction, definitely, though.
this will be
Either
much
way.
better than it has been. Okay.
Yes,
Definitely,
yes.
yeah.
Especially regarding assimilate styles of play with a Nausicaa. Triggering
And-
all that assimilate value, yeah.
And lastly, here we just got Van Morlehem Servant updated tooltip. So basically,
Cool.
just letting you know that it can't copy infusions. I think that's fair. I think it was
Yep.
getting out of hand. New
That's
keyword.
to do with the cultist. Was that the cultist? It was working
Yeah,
with the cultist decks,
That's,
maybe?
that's right. It was just absurd. I
Yeah.
like that Syndicate's now clarifying what gang categories are in the game. I think this is going to make it easier on the beginner level to know how to build your decks in around collusion and crimes. So it's going
Even
to
myself, man.
Yeah,
I find myself searching.
I'm sitting there
searching Google
sometimes.
sometimes.
I'm wondering, like,
Yeah.
is it this one? And then sometimes
Yeah.
I hop into a training match against AI, and just to see if I need to forfeit real quick. You know what I mean? Before I get into a real match against a player.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Dude, I find myself going back through like 2-year-old Reddit posts searching these things.
exactly. So this is nice. You got Blind Eyes, Crown Splitters,
Yeah.
Cut Ups, Fire Sworn, and then Salamander and Tide Cloaks. How many is that? That's 2, 4, 6. Okay, I got it right. I was talking about
Right.
Syndicate yesterday, and I said there were 6, so no one corrected me. That's why.
Nice.
Got it.
That's really neat to see
Yeah.
that there.
Collusion getting a provision buff from 10 to 9. It's just a subtle change, but I think it will make
Yep.
somewhat of a difference with the new Siggy Reuven coming to the game. Being
Yep.
able to tutor that would be kind of nice.
Sure.
And with the buff to something like the Call of the Forest, it's nice to see another sort. It's not like a tutor, but it's like a little bit of a
It's
payoff
not really,
card.
yeah.
Getting
Yeah.
a little bit of a sync as well to the 9p.
Yes.
Conjurer's Candle, I think this card's just been abused for a long time, and I think that it did much better than, for example, Scoia'tael's location that no one plays, right? So seeing that provision change from 6 to 7 was a good step. I think the profit change might be a little too much.
Oh, really?
Well,
So what would you like to see? Another nerf to the provision, or
maybe.
what do you think? Yeah, maybe.
Maybe the provision and just call it there. But if
I mean, this
anything-
happened because of the line pockets poisons, I'd say, Q.
Yeah.
Especially because,
It's
the
just-
interaction with Azar, the defender, boost tokens up, and then, like, you've just got all that control of that deck. Maybe they're just
100%.
trying to target that deck a bit more, yeah.
Yeah, they've just done so much to like take care of that so far that it's like, how much more are you going to do
Yes.
to it? But I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
you hard nerf it to the ground to make it less attractive to play. Then everybody starts switching over to something else, and it makes the game more refreshing. Because if it's only minor changes, people will find a way to still make it work. So I guess that makes sense, right? We have-
Exactly, like with failed experiment still being used, still very strong with Golden Echo.
Gellert gets a bit of a buff though. They realized the Adrenaline 5 is kind of nuts, so put it up to
Yep.
6. Actually, that's not a buff.
Yep.
That's a nerf.
Nerf.
That's another
Yeah.
nerf. Jeez, they really don't want to see these
Yeah.
cards being played anymore. That's right. So
It's
6,
getting hit hard.
yeah, that's pretty bad. And then this is just
5
like
for 6,
a
yep. Siggy?
agent and aristocrat tag. I think
Interesting, yep.
I'm pretty sure that was on the card in the last time that I looked at the card.
Really? Siggy Reuven.
Oh, the regular Siggy Reuven. No, they've just
It's the
it's the original.
not the one that's being added in now.
It's the Prophet
Yeah,
one.
that's
just
right.
just the straight Prophet. Yeah.
Yes. The one that's used a lot with the jackpot
Right on. Yeah, so
leader.
it makes sense to keep it
Yep.
consistent. I like that they had the same base power for this as they did with the other cards, so the tags
Yep.
keeping that the same is probably where it should be anyways. And of
Cool.
course, Shady Vendor, every single
Wow,
deck.
that too.
Yeah, Profit changed from 2 to 1. I like
Oh
it.
my goodness, man.
I
There's a
like
few
it. Look,
changes to
if I'm
that
playing off the
list.
books, I'm still running this and I'm not really worried about it because you got King of Beggars
Yeah.
and all that. But if I'm playing
Right,
the
right,
Poison
right.
Golden Necker, they're telling you to stop playing it. Basically, I think that's just three
Yeah, I
more
think so.
three more changes here. And I noticed that because with the new Siggy Reuven coming out, it's playing for 2 thins, and it kind of replicates what Golden Necker was doing for Syndicate with the tempo and the consistency.
Oh, I see.
So I think they're showing people,
So they have
listen,
to do this ahead of time because
Yeah.
it's going to be way too OP.
well,
Yeah.
they're just like, listen, why don't you play
Right.
like a real Syndicate deck instead of, just a pile of neutrals plus a few Syndicate cards. You know what I mean? So I think that
Right,
this is
right.
really good for faction identity.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a significant change to the amount of play rate with that deck then, that Poisons deck, maybe after these. Because as we discussed, accumulative changes we're talking about here. Do you see there's a few changes there?
Mhm.
Conjurers, Gillett, and Shady. I mean, they're all used in that deck.
Yep, 100%.
So it'll be interesting to see how that performs, and considering the previous nerfs too, maybe it all adds up now.
Exactly. And just to wrap it
Yeah.
up here, because we're at the hour mark of the video, and hopefully people can
Nice.
get through it because I think we had some pretty good
Yeah.
discussion here. But we have,
Man, I really enjoyed this talk. Really
yeah.
enjoyed it.
yeah, we have tons of ideas for the next season.
Yeah,
Now, Afen
great.
gets the no longer ignoring immune soldiers. Ardal could be canceled
Okay.
before selecting a target. Just a minor fix. I think that makes sense.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
Because sometimes you put it down, you don't realize that, oh my god, the whole board's doomed. And it doesn't do anything. Disloyal units
Yeah, I
played in
mean,
double down
yeah.
seasonal. No longer play a
Yep.
second card from opponent's deck.
Iced as well.
How it should be, right?
Yep.
Ice Tursic no longer fails to trigger Diamond Warship's Death Wish when bringing it back from the grave. Okay. That's nice. It makes this card maybe playable now.
Right.
Because you can discard it.
I mean, I wasn't even aware of some of these things.
Do you remember,
This is
like,
news to me.
Remember
watching
this card? Like Death Wish, then you could bring back your highest power pirate?
Pirate? Yes,
You
yes.
could basically
It's
chuck
the ship. Yeah, I know.
you chuck this, and then maybe you can bring back a Raider. Because the
Wow.
Death Wish procs.
Yes.
That's huge.
Okay.
Fallen Rayla now correctly reacts to units that are spawned before play. Infused Death Wish is placed on Morkvarg will now trigger correctly when Morkvarg isn't doomed. Okay. Doo-Doo transforming into Tibor no longer gives the opponent a second card draw. Okay.
No longer.
I wasn't
Wow,
aware of
that's an
one at all.
interesting. That's really interesting that Doo-Doo play there, man.
I
I haven't seen that ever.
maybe,
People using it?
Maybe like old.
So they're purifying. Do
Maybe
they purify T-Ball? Because you can't target. It's immunity, right?
maybe they purify Row and then do it, or they're talking about how Doo-Doo and Tibor used to react, but now the interaction doesn't work.
That's really interesting. I've
So
never
then-
seen that.
So then, if you do pull it off, it wasn't responding the way it should be. I don't know. Maybe that's
Ah.
the case.
Okay.
That's pretty interesting. But that's pretty much it for 10.10, guys. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and I'll make sure I drop his socials in the description as well if you want to check out KG. Do you have anything you want to close with for this here? Any plugs you want to make? Anything going on with your community or your team this month?
Yeah, just thanks a lot for having me on your channel, Q. Really appreciate it. You're extremely hard worker. Really respect your grind. Keep at it. Go all the way. You deserve all the views, all the subs you can get. And yeah, hopefully, I mean, maybe we can do this again in the future. It was a lot of fun. Had a great time. And as for my viewers, just thank you very much for your time and support. As always, really appreciate it also. And be sure to check us out with all the new decks that we're going to be releasing very soon.
Awesome. This is the one you guys have been asking for in the Discord, so hopefully you enjoy, and I'm sure we could definitely do this again sometime, right? There's a patch every single month,
Yeah,
so
no doubt.
figure
No doubt.
something
It was a
out.
lot of fun, man.
All right, guys, take it easy, and we'll see you for the next one.
Peace. See you, everyone.